Truth Frequency Radio Network. KTFRN. Worldwide.
Welcome, Shadowland Voyagers. In the spirit of sovereignty and self-empowerment, we invite you to journey with us into the Shadowland. Let's rediscover, reclaim, and integrate the fragmented aspects of our individual and collectively held consciousness. Realize true freedom and restore authentic expression. Could it be the only way out is through the Shadowland?
Good evening. Good evening, Shadowland Voyagers. It is quite the ride we are having in this 2013. We are fired up. There's so much going on. I hardly know where to begin. This is Sienna, and I'm here with Christina Grant. Christina, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Sienna.
And Elizabeth Hansen. Elizabeth, hello.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
All right. We are calling episode 13. Can you believe that? Kuan Yin, Riding the Dragon, a metaphor for our souls. I'm going to start in on this. Let's all just take some deep breaths. Grab yourself some popcorn or whatever, cup of tea, and sit down, and let's just open ourselves to explore some really challenging topics tonight. I'm excited. I'm a little trepidatious about this because we're going to dive deep into some things that are really hard to discuss. We're going to start, though, with sweetening the palate with a bit of Kuan Yin. And this is actually from Marilyn Barrick, Ph.D., from excerpts from a book called Transforming Anger, Fear, and Pain, Creating Heart-Centeredness in a Turbulent World. Kuan Yin is known in the East as the Bodhisattva of compassion. She is the celestial one who hears the sounds of the world and rescues people endangered or floundering in perilous situations. As we see in the portrait of Kuan Yin, we see her serenity while she guides the fierce serpent of the deep through tumultuous waves. We see this as a metaphor for the journey of our souls. She does not embolden one polarity over the other. She does not empower the victim over the perpetrator or feed the war between them. We too are meant to envision and attain a stance of mastery over turbulent happenings. Men and women alike, we are called to tame our own inner dragons when they surface amidst the upheaval in our lives, for which there is an awful lot right now. The rolling waves are a metaphor for those swift-moving up and downs we go through. We either ride those waves with grace and serenity or tumble into the restless currents of duality, warring endlessly with itself. In the face of chaotic circumstances, our choices are determined by our attitude, not by the events themselves. And our outer posture is decided by the inner stance of our soul. All right, we'll be right back, everybody. Stay with us. Taming the Dragon tonight. Shadowland Voyagers. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. It has been quite a ride here as the world explodes in its rising up against and seeking its own freedom. There are so many uprisings. There are so many people in the streets right now. A lot of our media doesn't tell us that, but it's happening. It's happening all over Europe. It's happening in the Middle East. It's happening right here in our country. And we are totally in support of freedom and sovereignty. I really want to make this is very difficult to talk about this because this impulse is being pushed forward by all of the changes of December 21st, all the planetary alignments. There's this huge rising up of massive amounts of energy from humanity towards their freedom and sovereignty. So it's a very delicate time, and it's a very humbling, and it's a very vulnerable time. And we've been about it some in this last week, how we are going to approach this, because it's very, very tricky. One of the things that I've become aware of is that as the light is flooding in from the galactic plane and the alignment to the galactic center and all of the planets and photon belt, it's illuminating everything. And that also means it's illuminating the darkness. It's illuminating our egos. And I don't know what all you're going through. I hope that you're joining us in the chat room, and we'll give you the call-in number in a minute because we would love to hear from you because people are just going wild where I live. And I'm starting to think, oh my God, it's the terrible twos. The ego that has been held down and suppressed for eons is rising up, but because it's still in the programs of the past, it's not fully in balance in the process. I don't know if I'm saying this in any way that makes any sense. Either one of you want to jump in and help me out here. I do have a quote from our beloved George Vassilis that I thought was just so spot on for this topic. And George states that when your bloodline has been marinating for thousands of years in a dogma and stripped of its essence for so long, it's very hard to pass the programs. So what I'm basically saying is we're getting lit up, and a lot of our programs are just jumping all over, and we're in the streets fighting, and we're trying to reclaim our sovereignty, but we're doing it in a very polarized, in a very victim and perpetrator modality. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm experiencing people that are so indignant, and they are unstoppable in their vocalization to each other. And we knew that there would be a lot of madness as the shift came on, but I'm seeing it all over the place. So there you have that. Any comments, beautiful ladies? If not, we'll just rant and rave like a banshee here.
Well, I've been a little bit disconnected from the news you're speaking of. Is there anything in particular that has occurred this week that you're focusing on with regard to the uprising? I haven't heard anything.
Yes, there is. And it's probably a subject that is dearest to my heart and is extremely vulnerable. And so I'm really hoping that we can approach this subject from a great place of love and compassion and balance while we're talking about this. Because right now, in 190 countries, women around the world are learning a song and a dance. It's all over the internet. It's called Billion Women Rising. Billion Rising. It is an extension of Eve Ensler's Vagina Plugs V-Day, and I have great respect for this woman. It is the largest, most impassioned movement to address the issues of women's rape and brutality against women. They have raised, I think, millions, tens of millions of dollars. I know in the Congo, she has been there many times, and there's massive rape of women. They've started a clinic, and I actually was in New Orleans several years ago and saw the gentleman who runs that clinic, and he barely eats or breathes. There's so many women that are being mutilated, and he's sewing them up, and she's got millions of dollars pouring. They can barely keep up. And of course, these situations are going on around the world. We know that in India, this woman was raped, and I think she's died from the injuries. And men and women are rising up all over India. There's a huge movement. We knew that as we reached galactic center, that this was the return of the feminine, and that the feminine would be empowered. Okay, so we are now experiencing a tsunami of women all over the world, and they're just gorgeous. You can see it all over the internet. They're dancing. They're singing this song, lyrics by Tina Clark and Tim Heinz. Can I go ahead and say some of these words? Ladies?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, because sometimes I just get on a rant, and I don't want to cut off your flows either. You know that we are completely behind this impulse, power of the feminine. We know that the indigenous, the third worlders, and the feminine have been suppressed for so long. And our hearts have been waiting for the day when Ma would be returned to her proper place in the world, okay? So the lyrics, I raise my arms to the sky. I'm on my knees, I pray. I'm not afraid anymore. I will walk through the door, walk, rise. I can see a world where we all live safe and free from all oppression. No more rape or incest or abuse. Women are not a possession. You've never owned me. Don't even know me. I'm not invisible. I'm simply wonderful. My heart for the first time is racing. I feel alive. I feel so amazing. And, I'm dancing. I'm dreaming because I've had enough. Dance to stop the screams. Dance to break the rules. Dance to stop the pain. Dance to turn it upside down. It's time to break the chains. And that's the name of the song. It's time to break the chains. We've got, yeah, it's powerful. It's very, very powerful. But then I have to think, men are also the victims here. From what we understand about the shadow, from what we understand about demonic possession, interdimensional entities, abductees, all the levels of what comes through people, the mind programs of when they become perpetrators. We know that there's a whole other layer to that is feeding off of the victim perpetrator paradigm, correct? And they would love nothing more to have every woman in the world out there screaming at who are they screaming at? Who are they taking their freedom from? And I understand that this is a necessary step that we have to take. But these steps are always manipulated. David Icke talks about this so much, about the Arab Spring. You have all of these people in the streets in the most vulnerable state to have their energy harvested, when they are inflamed and screaming at some other people that they're going to take their power back. So it's just an incredibly sticky wicket. The whole topic, to be integral with the theme of Shadowland Voyagers, we need to look at this, as Elizabeth would say. We need to weigh in with this.
I'm gonna chime in here. I think I told you ladies this story, but it bears telling again. Tom and I were driving down through Nevada, and I connected with Mother Earth, and she started showing me visions of things, and one of the main ones was that there's like the power lines, and they're in places where no one lives, by the way, just strewn across the mass lands that no one lives on. And she told me that was a cage for her, and it was messing up her electrical grid and her natural magnetics, to have all this electrical wiring around her. And I don't know how I saw her like expanding and bursting, like breaking all the wires. Like she basically said, this has to come down. These are the chains. And it's, it's a metaphor. But when we talk about suppression of divine feminine, I think we're talking about suppression of that flow of life. I'm at a loss for words, but it feels...
No, that is the thing. I don't want to cut you off, Elizabeth. But, I mean, the return of the feminine, to me at this stage, is, and you had that beautiful feed, that Druga video that you sent, Christina, where she's riding these big cats, and she's tearing through the illusion of duality, that all of these dark beings that have been feeding on, ingesting, and harvesting the human soul for eons. She's tearing through the duality, and she's just coming forth with this huge love. She's coming forth with a transcendent love, a love that embraces all of it and is bringing forth a new paradigm that has nothing to do with identifying anybody in the game as a victim or a perpetrator. And she does this is the return of the mother. The chains, we are embroiled. It's all they've been playing us. We've all been in this big ghetto fighting each other, and they're just eating the negative energy for lunch. It's just a big feeding frenzy for them, and we think that we're getting liberated, and it's being played. We're being played, and we continue to be played, and we don't see it. This is not to me, this is not the liberation of the feminine. I'm not,
we don't, I mean, I feel like Durga and Kuan Yin both sort of express that or teach or show us that we don't need to fight for our power. We just need to reclaim it. We need to express it. We must speak our truth and be our love, fierce compassion, and move with, with clarity to focus on what our goals are, what the change we want to see is. But of course that has to begin within, but we must be centered in our truth. And something that was coming to me earlier in your reading was just that we must be willing to stand up and wage peace, carry the sword of truth and wear the armor of love and be empowered and courageous, and not compromise what we know is truth and not negotiate love. It's not up for negotiation. So we are taking a stand, but we do have to be careful that we don't engage in fighting and get drawn back into battle. We just need to stand up and know and do and be what was right in our hearts.
And also the judgment versus discernment. I think there's a lot of judgment on the perpetrator and a lot of holding up of the victim, and that's anti-love as well.
But we do need to look at that, though, as well.
Yeah.
That's the shadow. Yes, we have been victimized. We have been raped. Now we're standing up and saying no more. But at the same time, we need to also look within ourselves. And, you're talking about breaking those chains. Well, we need to break the chains within our own selves that we have tied in ourselves, that keep us from expressing, from claiming our authentic power,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel so strongly about this because I am so in alignment with this wave, and I really want to help move it forward into where it really needs to go. And that doesn't mean this isn't a necessary step. I mean, when 109 countries full of women are all dancing, it's an unstoppable force, and we have to go, may it go, because it's energy being released, it's energy being freed up, and so that's why all the women that care for the birth of true consciousness, need to join with them and keep moving the energy into consciousness. So I'm really not condemning this at all. I'm just concerned. I'm really concerned because it feels so vulnerable to me. Actually, there's this it's not hilarious. It's an absurd situation, even in this little place where I'm living, which I won't say where it is or any names or anything, but let me just say that the patriarchal forces here are wanting to turn this into a tourist attraction. And and film us in the middle of Carnival. Carnival is one of the most violent. I mean, it's a pagan ritual. They all go dish each other and they spray cans of junk on each other, and it's pretty violent. They want us in the middle of this to film this, and as a tourist attraction. And the founding fathers are all supporting us, and the women are standing up going, "No, we're not doing this for you to package us and sell us as a tourist attraction." No, and they're getting all irate, and the women who are standing with the politicians are seeing us as being unyielding. So there's this whole crazy exploding around the women standing up and simply purely wanting to just dance in their freedom. And I'm seeing that. I mean, I didn't want to just target the women thing here because I'm seeing this. I'm seeing people are getting fights a lot around here, arguments, but it's kind of thing where they're like, I've had enough and I'm not taking it anymore. This is what I think. And sometimes they're being like crazy and insane about it, but they're riding the wave too of empowerment. Do you know what it's a step, just like the terrible news, Yeah, but can we just see it? Can we try to see what's going on? Because this light is empowering everything. It's empowering everything.
And we need to, like you just said, the terrible too. We need to not be quick to react. Where we're at right now is such a crossroads, and I feel that we need to make our decisions carefully and choose our path wisely. That just seems to me to be very important right now. Not just to get drawn into some big, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yes, it's so difficult though, because when people are inflamed and they're angry and they're vocal, I mean, part of you goes, right on. I've never even heard this person talk, and now they're standing up and they're screaming, and in a way, this is like prime therapy on a mass level or something, right. And it's insane. But at least the energy is coming out. People are feeling something. They're caring about something. But at the same time, a lot of them, at least in my are being very, very abused. They're being manipulated by dark forces. Of course, you're right. Reactivity is just lunch for the dark side. They're going to have a heyday while we're focusing on the ascension process and evolution and becoming humane beings and moving into a new level. Welcome back, everyone. This is Sienna Leah. I'm here with Christina Grant and Elizabeth Hansen. We're Shadowland Voyagers. You can enter our forum and engage in conversation and processing with us at www.shadowlandforum.com. You can access any of the archives. You go to the website stealingthemoon.com. You can access all the previous shows. We would love to be interacting with you around this topic. Our chat box is open. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. So we are basically talking about a huge dimensional shift that is happening, that is bringing a huge amount of light and upping the frequency, and it's got every aspect that we are identified with activated, it appears to me. I don't know how else to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just thinking that just the Shadowland aspect of it, just feeling that anything that we haven't dealt with is going to get really triggered right now. And that's the danger, is that they will prey on these traumas and programs and belief systems that have not yet been balanced. And so, it's really important to really do that inner work more, now more than ever, but it's just, that's what's going to get triggered, and that's what's going to bring you into reaction mode, and that's what's going to draw you into a fight. as opposed to being clear and balanced and centered and able to respond from a place of clarity in your heart and compassion. That's what I'm feeling.
It's true. It's true. We've been talking about this for 13 weeks now, but we're still, we're not even the 1%. Mm-hmm. I don't know what we are. But, and we're holding a space, and we know that the Shadowland is like topic number, the end of the universe that anyone wants to deal with.
I want to take responsibility.
You should have done your homework, all you people out there. Now look what's happening.
The shadow being played out for all of us on the world stage. Oh, joy.
Oh, it is.
That's okay. That's okay because we can see it now. It's pulling it out of the shadows, and it's, the light of our consciousness is illuminating it, and we can see what we're dealing with now. So
I wish that was true. I wish that was true, Christina, because I'm not seeing people there are very clever manipulations going on right now. Very, very clever. Remember, the dark side is not intelligent. Creating a war against creation itself seems pretty lame to me.
But they are very clever. We do.
They're very clever. They're very clever. It's not just, the million dance thing. That's, it's, wow. This is going on in a lot of different dimensions. Like, wherever, also I see a polarity now. December 21st is done, and there's a whole group of us that are going, oh, the energy's so great, I'm tripping through the portals, which we are. And it is great, and it's wonderful. We just want to create the new. We do. And yet, that can be a trap. Because there may be we may have to get in the ambulances and go out and try to get in the middle of these things. I don't know. This is a live and fluid situation. There are all kinds of agendas being played out because they know that we're going to just want to be high and go through the portals and bye-bye, And then there's huge agendas that are super trapping people into dark agendas so that they're going to get distracted, so they're not going to access these inner portals that are opening up. God, we had this incredible art opening here, and we had this wonderful woman who did cosmic music from all over the world, and we were dancing in the fifth dimension. There was no sleep. It was the most healing. These dimensions are opening up. There was such a sense of community and love and sharing and unity and equality. Gigantic amounts of this potential are just flooding in. And then the next day, there's people on Facebook just chewing each other and spitting each other out with absolute zero compassion, or just out of their minds and insane. It's like, whoa.
What was this about?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. Actually, one I was going to address, and this would be the backstory, because I don't want to just talk about problem for these 2 hours. I want to get to solution. I actually want to offer it's a process by actually Ken Wilber and the whole Integral Life people, the 3-2-1 shadow process. But I wanted to take people through it in regards to what's going on in my little valley. I can't use any names. I have to be anonymous. This fits right into the whole female thing, okay? So there's this woman in our valley. She's a brilliant writer. She's a super brilliant and aware girl. And she's, okay. So she posts on Facebook that a rapist came to her door, and she does this. It should have been a short story, a novel or something, a screenplay. It was absolutely brilliant about, how she held still and all the thoughts going through her head and the everything that happened and how he was pounding and trying to, coming in this way. He never did get to her, and we had a couple of rapes, or attempted rapes and rapes in this town. So people were on edge anyway. So she portrayed it as a rapist at her door. And of course, there's a wave of, oh my God, we support you and this is terrible. And the backstory actually is that this is her boyfriend. And she had been cheating on him and he was angry. But she did not mention any of this. The whole town was in an uproar about this. and it caused a wave of real female polarization, you know. And actually, I want to do this 3, 2, 1. One of the women involved has given me permission because amidst all of this, excuse me, my cat is flying through the window. Amidst all of this, yes, sorry everyone, center. Amidst all of this, people are becoming very abusive with each other. It's very interesting. This woman is super aware, you know, a really great writer that can portray things, and she's taken targets. She's calling this the evil valley, and she's trashing everybody. She's roasting everybody. And if you come against her and say your truth, she'll roast you right in your face. And she's creating waves of dissension, polarity, war, distrust, separation. And so my friend, who is she is known in the valley as the great facilitator. She gets, because there have been a lot of conflicts, she comes in and states her truth, and this girl just lays at her. So instead of getting into a conflict or making this girl bad or that one wrong, my friend engaged in writing out a 3, 2, 1 process. And I thought it might be helpful to share it because she does take it into the different archetypal aspects of the divine feminine as they're playing out in our little valley. And I thought that this could be valuable on a microcosm, macrocosm level. But I don't know if we want to go into that right now.
Do we want to keep talking about some of the things going on in the world and how we're viewing?
Well, I think that would be appropriate. I wanted to do that in hour 2, actually.
Yeah.
And look further at some of the things because there's some massive polarizations going on. Places where we can get so caught up in it that it's really hard not to participate on either side of a polarity. I mean, to me, this is the interesting dichotomy. I mean, I want to go dancing in the street with these women, and I probably will. But a part of me is going, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
There are some of these beautiful young girls, the Ecuadorian girls, that have never even dreamed of standing up in their body, dancing, saying, I can be free, I can be a woman, I can love myself. And I just feel like, I want to do that with them. But it still doesn't feel, it feels polarizing on another level. And
now you said something about like a mass commercialization of this, I don't know what to call it. Is it a women's movement, or what are we calling this?
They're calling it Billion Women Rising. It is definitely a women's movement. Mm-hmm.
So what is the downside that you see, Sienna, that you're being wary of? Okay.
The thing that I am, let me see if I can say it in a different way. Just some of the words of the song. They're saying, you can't possess me. Let me go back over there because I can do that. The name of the song, there's so much energy in this, I can't even talk. It's called It's Time to Break the Chains. Okay? Time to stop the screams, time to break the rules, time to stop the pain. And then they're going, no more rape or incest or abuse. Women are not a possession. You've never owned me. You. Who is you?
Well, I suppose
men. It's men. They're saying this to men, right?
Well, we have been suppressed for thousands of years. So, I mean, yes, we're saying enough. We're done. We are taking our power back.
Yeah. I'm simply wonderful. I feel my heart for the first time racing. I feel alive. I feel so amazing. So, yes, of course, we totally want to support this. We completely want to support this. And it's polarizing at the same time. It's both. I don't know that I feel it's polarizing. I feel
I mean, I haven't looked into it. So this is the first really, you mentioned it, but I've been sick all week, so I haven't really had a chance to do any.
I'm not saying that I'm seeing a huge polarization. I'm seeing a huge wave of feminine empowerment that has got me in tears and got, I mean, to me it feels wonderful.
That's how I feel. But I feel the danger for me is just if women haven't yet owned everything that they are and have stepped out of victimhood and into true empowerment, that there is a pitfall. The next step is not furthering self-empowerment. You know, we'll be right back where we were. There'll be another trap, if you want to call it that. Do you know what I'm saying?
And that's all I really want. I'm not condemning this at all. I know this is a necessary step, and it's beautiful. It's incredible, and I'm going to be out there dancing with these women, and I'll be in tears, and they will be in tears with me, and it's going to be incredible. And I'm always wanting to look at what's the other side of this. Not that will condemn this or invalidate this.
No, but we do need to look at all sides. That's what being aware is.
Yeah, exactly. Because I wish it was men. I mean, I know that women have to rise up. There are so many women right now getting raped. This valley has 75% of women who've been abused. What are the rates of how many women? Is it 1 out of 3 of every woman on the planet? So, you know, they need to know that this is no longer acceptable. Definitely.
Well, and men need to rise up with the sisters, you know. We need our brothers to stand with us.
Well, that's the thing, because it's just like the perpetrators have been driven insane also by the forces of darkness. I'm not condoning them, but I don't see them as the ultimate root cause of the situation. Not from my understanding of shadow work and what's really involved here. We've all been manipulated. That's all I'm saying. And so it ends up emboldening our stupidity to think that just rising up against the perpetrators is going to cause a change. It may, what are they going to, but, I mean, I know that there are women in this parade that are in abusive relationships right now and have not broken free of those men and are standing in that street dancing. What good is that going to do?
Exactly. That's my point. The women have to find their own self-love and self-worth for any of this to really blossom and to become our new reality.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, if it's the overture of a new era of female empowerment, if it's the beginning, and then they could, okay, what's next? Great. But, yeah. And so you were asking about other things. This is really sort of foremost in my face because it's foremost in my life. But the larger topic really is topic of the reactive ego states that are being released as the slaves are breaking their chains. The slaves are breaking their chains. Look what happened to the blacks. And, I'm not putting down black. I'm just saying this has happened over and over again when the oppressed get freed, but the construct is still the construct. So they all go get jobs in the Matrix, or they all go to get schooled in lies and deceit and in trauma-based mind control and think that they're being liberated. So many traps. What is real freedom? What is real freedom is when we're really reclaiming our soul, our spirit force from the programs that are embedded for generations in the construct, and we're coming out of all of it. That is true empowerment. And all of these are steps along the way, and we're taking the steps, and that's a good thing. There's just minds all along the way, and they're not going to just let us be. We're going to be challenged to truly wake up and see the levels of deception. And still, because the energy will support our freedom, but if we don't see the traps, then we get stuck in bardos or places and we think we're being free. And this has happened over and over again. People think they're being free because they get to go to schools. Look who's running the schools, who's funding the schools, who's funding those jobs, what industries you're perpetrating. We know it's layer upon layer upon layer. And so then we go, but we don't want to look at that anymore because we want to create a new paradigm. The thing is that a lot of people are just barely looking at it. So we don't want to get trapped in looking at it, but at the same time, we have to keep our awareness. Our awareness has to be the searchlight in the darkness because we are coming out of a very, very deep tunnel. And there's lots of precipices and stalactites and stalagmites and little caves and mines and little places, like an Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, yeah,
where
booby traps.
all along the way. And those of us who are maybe, the pioneers here, we need to somehow turn around and with total love and balance and not reactivity and not condemnation, help our sisters and our brothers because maybe we're seeing that because we've been guided for some reason to be looking at that inside ourselves for maybe a little longer than the rest of people are. So I just so encourage you all to join shadowlandforum.com right now. Go there, read the threads, and we're going to have other things too, but start looking at yourselves because every bardo, every trap, every layer is inside of us. And we have such great people. And I know you're listening and I know who you are, who are really doing this now. Aren't they amazing? They're waking up. And they're loving this. They're seeing the ego within the ego and the layers, and they're getting liberated. There's so much support to do this inner work, and you will become a lighthouse for masses of people that are not going to fully understand how to walk this precipice and really make it all the way. And that's why we're doing this show, because this is a very tricky transition we're in.
I don't think it can be done unless you're growing in consciousness. I look out into the world and I'm like, wow, how overwhelming is it to think about, the confines and the continuing confines of our governments, as if they own us, as if we're, possessions. They give us numbers, we have a value, and none of that is for what they say, we the people, is for something else. I mean, you look out into the landscape of what's been created while we've been, snoozing along, and it's a bit overwhelming. And the way that I've been able to sort of deal with the overwhelming amounts of derogatory stuff coming my way through the years is clean up the inside, so that if there is something I can do, if there is a way that if there's something I can do, I can respond appropriately, and that information becomes available to me. It's been said to me before that there's no such thing as a catch-22 or between a rock and a hard place. Find the other perspective. Find the other way to look at things. And you do what you can where you're called, but you're not going to be called if your energy is not up for it, because life doesn't give us more than we can bear. So, but as you're doing your inner work, your inner processing, you start to become available for, to show up in places like you, Sienna, wanting to go and dance with the women. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe bring your energy to that space, So these things that come my way, it's like a lot of times I'm not in a position to do anything, and the only thing left is to, that next action is to get emotional because I feel like I can't do anything about that thing, about that issue that's upsetting me. And then I came to this agreement inside of myself that when these things come into my surround and awareness, that they're coming to my awareness to weigh in. I feel like there's a weighing of the human heart on things as these changes are occurring within our, I don't know what you call it, our human infrastructure. I don't know what you call it. We're definitely in a shift. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I think we all kind of feel that at this point. But you can't do everything. You can't go and save the world and quite frankly, those noble causes have their own limitations. You know, you start dealing with personality complexes that are so ego-driven and power-driven once again, and you're just like doing another overlay of what's already been created. So, and like Albert Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same consciousness that it was created in. So,
Yeah, really empathize with what you're saying. Sometimes it just feels so overwhelming, and when you start to wake up and see the depth of the atrocities against us and the taking of our freedoms on every level, and then we feel so powerless, and we don't often know what to do or how to begin, and feel so disempowered that we can't have an impact on the whole thing. But that's a great deception right there, because as you are awakening, and you've gone through so much of that, and you continue to go through it and really dive deep into the Shadowland and keep emerging, you're clearing great vats of unconsciousness that do have a ripple effect. Yeah, it's not always in joining a movement.
It could be. I mean, you could be called to that, but you wouldn't know that if you're in a lower state, a lower density. You wouldn't necessarily be called. You wouldn't be available for that. And you know, especially if when you look out into the world and there's all this like, I mean, this was going on for me somewhere around right after the 9/11 stuff happened back in 2001. I started really realizing where we were at as you know, as a human collective on this planet, and realizing the destruction on such a mass scale of our Mother Earth and our planet body, you know, that we live on. And it was all-encompassing pain that I was feeling, and I needed to feel those things. And what I say to that now is, yes, I do feel those things, and I'm available when I'm called. You know, when there's something to be done, I'm more and more available when you know, to be called for something to be done. But if I'm in a lower state and I haven't worked stuff out inside myself, I'm not available to do anything for anybody.
That's so beautifully stated, Elizabeth. And it was you opening your heart to the Mother, to our Earth, and feeling that, and connecting with, because the heart is becoming the new third eye. The heart is giving us the visibility to see into the heart of the matter and to show up.
Yeah.
And yeah. And
you know what she said to me? She said, I wanted someone in awareness to bear witness. There's no one here in awareness.
Yes.
She said in that space. I mean, it was a desolate desert with these power lines just running, you know, going nowhere. Well, probably underground bases and whatnot, but that's what she said. She said she just needed someone connected with her to bear witness. That's it. And I felt it. Boy, did I feel it. But there's, you know, what am I going to do? Go start ripping down power lines right now because I'm on a mission to save her? I can't do that. She's got to save herself just like I do, you know?
Okay, thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth. We'll be right back. Stay with us. This is Shadowland Voyagers.
Radio Network.
Welcome back, Shadowland Voyagers. Your experience perception, and questions are deeply appreciated here. Join the conversation. Call in at 213-233-3998 or 888-832-2027.
Welcome back. Hello, Shadowland Voyagers. We're here. This is Sienna Leah with Christina Grant and
Hello.
Elizabeth Hansen. Hello, Christina.
Hi. Hi. I have something here I can read from Carl Jung. You're saying that kind of the theme of the show is riding the dragon. And I have something here from Man and His Symbols. It says, the battle between the hero and the dragon shows more clearly the archetypal theme of the ego's triumph over regressive trends. For most people, the danger or negative side of the personality remains unconscious. The hero, on the contrary, must realize that the shadow exists and that he can draw strength from it. He must come to terms with its destructive powers if he is to become sufficiently terrible to overcome the dragon. For example, before the ego can triumph, it must master and assimilate the shadow.
Hallelujah. Beautiful. Oh, that was really beautiful. Would you read that again? Oh, maybe not. Oh, I really needed to hear that right now.
It's in the chat box if you want to read it again, but
all right. I suppose that's overkill. We should move on. Oh, there you go.
Anyway,
yes.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. That the ego, before the ego can triumph, it must master and assimilate the shadow. And this is exactly where we're at right now. The ego, let us realize, let us remember, the ego has been serving the dark side largely. We've been coming from this survival mentality, from separation, where we've had to fight each other, where we've had to fight for our survival. And our ego, in some ways, now we all put down our ego. It's so self-serving and it's, in poor taste, really. But the ego, in many ways, has been our only friend. And however, the ego has been informed by the dark side for a very, very long time. Now we're in the transition where the ego is to be lifted up and to be working with the higher source self. Mm-hmm. But we're not cutting out the ego. And we're in this transition time. So as the energy is coming, this huge light is pouring in, the ego is being loved. It is being loved back into life as all the oppressed and all of the suppressed and all of the beat up and all the way we've all been fighting for eons. We're suddenly getting, I don't know what the words are here. I'm kind of feel autistic at the moment. Emboldened. We're getting emboldened. We're feeling like we can come out of the closet and say what our truth is. However, our truth is so polluted by thousands of years of unconscious programming, and this is our blind spot. We don't know we're acting out the Whittico virus or we're speaking from our higher selves. This is the discrimination process that is our mission and vision, and it's all over the planet. We know so many chat rooms, so many great minds and enlightened beings are talking about this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're here at Shadowland Voyagers with Sienna Leah, Christina Grant, and Elizabeth Hansen. I would like to read that little quote again. Do you want to read it, Christina?
I can read it as well if you're... Christina.
Yes, Elizabeth, would you read it? I just want... Yeah.
The battle between the hero and the dragon shows more clearly the archetypical theme of the ego's triumph over regressive trends. For most people, the dark or negative side of the personality remains unconscious. The hero, on the contrary, must realize that the shadow exists and that he can draw strength from it. He must come to terms with its destructive powers if he is to become sufficiently terrible to overcome the dragon, i.e., before the ego can triumph, it must master and assimilate the shadow. That's by Carl Jung.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you had any other any direction that you wanted to go at the moment.
Well, that definitely speaks to what I was saying with regard to, in metaphorical terms, when we talk about the dragon, we're talking about a perpetrator, right? And this is what, like let's just say our outer construct is the perpetrator. Because when we say, who are we going to fight, really? Who are we going to fight? So let's just say, like, the dragon is the external construct.
Okay.
How can you do anything within it that isn't going to create further dissension? As you're working through the shadow stuff within yourself, you come into this place of knowing and access to infinite intelligence. And your talents. You access your talents. So
yes.
So say you have a talent for I don't know, putting artwork out there that moves people, or you're a musician. The last thing you want to be doing is going into politics and trying to fix it. That's one thing. So, if you're trying to fix something before you've done any work on yourself in the outer world, because we all have ideas about what's right and wrong and all this. And, you jump the gun out and try to fix something. Sienna, would you mute your mic? So you go out into the outer world and you try to fix something, but you're not clean on the inside. You're going to become a perpetrator, guaranteed, to someone. Mm-hmm. That's just the bottom line. You
Straight up.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. And, if you're doing that inner work, you are doing your good work right now. There is nothing to do in that external world. Whatever one is doing at any given time is right where they're supposed to be. So, I mean, I have a family member who's really into politics, and it's loud, and, he posts on Facebook all the time, and it's just like really harsh and loud, and I'm like, whoa, I don't even know how to like respond or talk to him right now because he's gotten really intense. And it's obvious to me that there's some shadow aspects at play where he's feeling controlled, and he wants to put that control, he wants to put control back out. So he's in a particular state that's really active right now, and he's partly leading it. And it's like, wow, I just wish that with the tenacity and the persistence that is his talents, he could actually make a difference. But because there's so much darkness going on, it's creating a fight, with, they're getting kicked out and, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. There might be another way to go about this completely that we haven't thought about yet. We haven't thought of yet, and a lot of people are saying, turn your back. And then other people say that's irresponsible. That they're just going to take us for a ride because all these things they're implementing right now for control of the populations in big cities and whatnot, and travels, and it just goes on and on. I mean, yeah. So honestly, I think that quote says it all, in that we can't come up with an appropriate response, and gain access to our divinity, our talents, our infinite intelligence, and respond appropriately when we're in our own darkness. It's just going to create more darkness around us to work through, to show say me, what I haven't looked at, what's in the way.
Yeah. And those things, all those shadow aspects, they create sort of this filter that everything you say, everything you do, everything you think, everything you feel passes through them. And so it's not clear, it's skewed. And that's where you end up, like you're saying, become the perpetrator. You hurt other people. You're judgmental. You can't function clearly with these shadow aspects. And as they clear away, you're able to then be more fully conscious, a more fully conscious human being. And human beings are naturally compassionate and caring and supportive and loving. But when you have all that dirt in there, whatever you want to call it, that stuff that just has been accumulated over a lifetime or for lifetimes through your genetic line, like we were saying earlier, Sienna, it's impossible to be your true authentic self. So therefore you cannot respond appropriately, compassionately, right?
Yeah.
I know it can be disheartening when you see all of this external stuff and you're finally getting the level of slavery, manipulation, control, suppression. And it's horrible, but you have this sense of, liberation. I see it now. I get it. And then, these three women show up and go, yeah, but guess what? It's an inside job. The Illuminati is living inside you as you in a part of yourselves. Until you clean that filter, you're going to be acting out their agendas. Now, we've seen the mirror, our projected shadow, the outer world is showing us, but we've got the internal hardwiring over thousands of years of programming. And this is not good news. I'm so sorry. This is my job description to tell you all this. In some ways, I'm sorry, but I hear from my own higher source self, Ma wants us all to get it. She wants as many of us to graduate, as many of us to truly move into true freedom. And there's more support for this work. It's quicker to transmute these things than ever before. And without doing it, we continually being pawns in the new game. They just come up, new set of clothes, new car, new house, new something, and it's all the same stuff, and now it's packaged in a new package, and we're being conned again. So that's the only reason that we're bothering to show up this way is we would like there to be real freedom. Everything we see in the outer, there's an aspect of it inside of each one of us. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad people can't throw stones at me because I'm on the internet and they can't break in the window or something.
They find a way.
Yeah, you're speaking.
I know. Tell me about it.
You are speaking the message of the divine feminine. That's the danger, isn't it? I mean, this shadow work, this is to bring in the divine feminine in a clean way.
That's right.
Not the ways of old either,
No, it's beyond duality. She wants the end. The whole idea of whoever you listen to, you talk about the process of ascension from third, fourth, fifth dimension. Fifth dimension is the first level of heaven. Why? Because it's the end of duality. That means that if we want real freedom, we can't be in duality. Mm-hmm. And that means we have to clean every addiction, every blind spot that hooks us, every wound, every programming that hooks us back into the duality game, and really be selfish in a way, incredibly selfish. And go, I don't want to play any of this anymore. It's just hooking me back into Garbageville.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's exactly what happens. They hook you back in. Your own shadow aspects keep you trapped, keep you stuck. Those are the chains. Your own shadow aspects.
Right, and you can dance in the street all you want, beautiful women. I'm going to be out there dancing with you. I love you all. It's awesome just to be out there. But what chains are we breaking? Let's not be deluding ourselves. It's a great opening act for the feminine coming out, and we're all feeling it. Billions of 190 country women all over feeling it. This is an incredible moment. So let's really break the chains. Let's really break the chains. Yeah.
It's our time. We got to do it right.
That's the thing. So instead of just telling people all what they have to do and then not giving them anything to do it, I was going to go into this one process. This is a little detailed, though, so it may be, I don't know, not appropriate. You tell me what you think, ladies, because we didn't have time to work all this out before the show. But this is okay, and jump in if I'm going too fast or it seems vague. This is going to be, first of all, the 3-2-1 shadow process, which was created in Integral Life by Ken Wilber and that crew who we adore. They have such incredible wisdom. And this is a basic process that you can use if you find yourself getting into that place where you're in super reactive mode or you know something's wrong. I'm going to just lay out the how-to, and we can talk about it. I also have a write-up of someone who has done it, who's willing to give us as a, for the show and she was very much owning shadow aspects of the divine feminine. So I thought we could take this last hour and dive into this because it's very concrete. And we can post this process on the shadowlandforum.com. People can go in there and do it right after the show or anytime they want and start working on their own stuff right there. So because I really just wanted to give them something. So this is the gold star practice, the 3-2-1 shadow process. You could also Google that. There's all kinds of information on the Internet. So first, you choose what you want to work with. It is usually easiest to begin with a difficult person to whom you are attracted or by whom you are repelled or disturbed, for example, your lover, your boss, or your parent. Alternatively, pick a dream image or a body sensation that distracts you or otherwise causes you to fixate on it. Keep it in mind that the disturbance may be a positive or negative one. You can recognize the shadow in two ways. Shadow material either makes you negatively hypersensitive, easily triggered, reactive, irritated, angry, hurt, or upset. Or it may keep coming up as an emotional tone or a mood that pervades your life. Or makes you positively hypersensitive, easily infatuated, possessive, obsessed, overly attracted, or perhaps it becomes an ongoing idealization that structures your motivations or moods. Okay, so there's 3 steps to this process. So that was all just how you identify a shadow aspect. Do either of you want to say anything about identifying a shadow aspect that wasn't covered there?
I think they nailed that pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty detail-oriented.
Okay, so number 1 is face it. Observe the disturbance very closely, and then using a journal to write it or an empty chair to talk to, describe the person, situation, image, or sensation in vivid detail using third-person pronouns such as he, him, she, her, they, their, it, its. This is your opportunity to explore your experience of the disturbance fully, particularly what it is that bothers you about it. Don't minimize the disturbance. Take the opportunity to describe it as fully and in as much detail as possible. Now, what I was going to do at this point is read just that part of what our anonymous friend wrote in regard, and I wanted, it's the same situation I talked about. Am I going too fast here? Just stop me if anything's unclear, okay?
I think it's good, and I think folks can just come to shadowlandforum.com if they want to read into it some more.
Okay, so this is her facing it, all right? And remember, this is a situation I was telling you about where we have one woman who has a pristine reputation all over the valley as being one of our prime facilitators, communication experts. She's very high-minded. She's a creative artist, and she's really very dedicated to shadow work, and she's very dedicated to personal responsibility, and she's dedicated to community and building harmony and bringing back the divine feminine and bringing love between men and women. So this other woman has showed up and has put this whole huge thing on Facebook about how she was nearly raped, and a huge description and incredible dialogue, and the whole valley is on fire with supporting her against this horrible rapist, and she has failed to tell us this was her boyfriend who she had cheated on, okay? And she still hasn't even owned that. So my friend is getting very triggered. Okay, so here's her face it. I'm going to call her Tamara. That's obviously not her name. Tamara is a dangerous, irresponsible shit disturber in this community. I am angry at her because she's using the power of the pen to inflict vengeance. She's an excellent writer, but her formidable talents have served to exacerbate the polarization of this community. I am working towards bringing people together, and she is inflaming the differences already existing, granted. I am working towards healing the split between the masculine and the feminine, and she is driving the wedge of suspicion and fear between them. While I in no way approve of her man's violence, her calling him a rapist and publicly slandering him using lies undermines other women who were truly raped and then will face people who may doubt them because they have witnessed the lies of this person. I can't stand the dishonesty, the injustice, the manipulation, and the mean spirit that she is spreading in this community. I am dismayed and deeply saddened at the vitriol I'm witnessing among the foreigners, and I feel that she somehow opened the gates for this to flow more forcibly, which is true. It's like, it's just getting very ugly in this valley right now. Okay? So that's step one, where you just let it rip. You just say everything that's out about that person. You just lay it out there, okay? Okay, so step two is talk to it. Enter into a simulated dialogue with this object of awareness using second-person pronouns, you and yours. This is your opportunity to enter into a relationship with the disturbance. So talk directly to the person, situation, image, or sensation in your awareness. You may start by asking questions such as, who, what are you, where do you come from, what do you want from me, what do you need to tell me, what gift are you bringing me? Allow disturbance to respond back to you. Imagine realistically. Okay, we'll be right back. We'll be right back with Talk to It. Stay with us. This is Shadowland Voyagers. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Shadowland Voyagers. This is Sienna with Christina and Elizabeth, and we're deep into the 3-2-1 shadow process. I'm going to just keep launching into this because I want to get completely done with this so you get one full vision of this. And it will be available at www.shadowlandforum.com on a thread so that you can come and do your own. And any time, and have a community of people that will support you through this process. So there you are. We're in the talk to it, where you're talking to it and you're asking it, the shadow aspect. Who, what are you? Where do you come from? What do you want from me? What do you need to tell me? What gifts are you bringing to me? Then allow the disturbance to respond back to you. Imagine realistically what they would say and actually write it down or vocalize it. Allow yourself to be surprised by what emerges in the dialogue. So here's the talk to it from this woman, the high-minded woman, and this woman who's created this havoc in the valley. How dare you come into this community and wreak havoc? So the response is, what's your problem? Do you own this community? Must I ask for the approval of your royal highness? By the way, that's actually is what she said. Of course not. I'm asking for honesty and common decency and to not disgrace the noble work of the writer. Oh, do you own the definition of a writer too? A bit controlling there, eh? Don't you think the shit disturber is also a noble work? Well, yes, I do. But you inflict pain in the process. Who can inflict pain? Pain is an interpretation. It's up to you to call it that. I have my own pain. which you project outward. I feel it and it hurts. Tell me, where do you come from? I come from the seething shadows of the wounded feminine, the womb that cannot hold life, not relationship, not child, not family, not community. I call up the forces of separation so you can see clearly what demarcates this 3D reality. What's higher and what's lower, what's in and what's out. In 3D, you cannot act appropriately without knowing the boundaries. I don't like it. This sense of separation cuts me like a knife. Get over yourself. If you are so spiritually advanced, then you should be able to take everything, including whatever I dish out, with wise equanimity. Step up to the plate and quit whining. Okay, so now here's the third step. It's called be it. And now writing or speaking the first person using the pronoun I, me, mine, be the person, situation, image, or sensation that you have been exploring. See the world, including yourself, entirely from the perspective of that disturbance and allow yourself to discover not only your similarities, but how you really are one and the same. Finally, make a statement of identification. I am blank or blank is me. This, by its nature, will almost always feel very discordant and wrong. After all, it's exactly what your psyche has been busy denying. But try it on for size, since it contains at least one kernel of truth. Okay, so here is the be it. And she's saying to herself, I am the wounded feminine. I am the part of creation's story that has been denied and therefore twisted into anti-life, anti-love, and anti-light because I am against life. I am angry and resentful. I am the reality of third density laid bare. Separation into this and that, us and them. I am service to self in its essence. I am the predator. And I am the victim, with their dynamic of power over and powerlessness. Everything feeds at the expense of something else in 3D. A being cannot transcend 3D until she acknowledges me and gathers up and claims all the energy being used by predator and victim. Rise above duality, healing the split between the feminine, wounded as well as radiant, and the masculine, wounded as well as strong, and bringing them together into one. I am pointing out the way, and importantly, the obstacles in the path. I, the wounded feminine, seek healing. Oh, I'd love to tell you who did that, but she has to remain anonymous. She will be on this show, though, I promise you. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. There you have it. That is a 3-2-1 shadow process. So she goes from being in a fight with this bitch to owning the wounded feminine. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, very powerful.
Okay. I know I'm kind of speechless myself here too. But this is where we need to go. This is where we all need to, and there's a second step. The last step often has a second step in which you complete the process of fully re-owning the shadow. Don't just see the world from that perspective momentarily, but actually feel this previously excluded feeling or drive until it resonates clearly as your own. Then you can engage it and integrate it. To complete the process, let the previously excluded reality register, not just abstractly, but on multiple levels of your being. This engenders a shift in awareness, emotion, and subtle energy that frees up the energy and attention that was taken up by your denial. You'll know that the process has worked because you'll actually feel lighter, freer, more peaceful and open, and sometimes even high and giddy. It makes a new kind of participation in life possible. So, yeah.
Well, I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, if we could just start doing this on a daily basis with your orange juice and coffee.
Seriously.
Or walk the dog. Or keep a pad of paper on the toilet.
Yeah. Make it part of your daily routine.
Be part of your daily wasteness.
Yeah, really. That's true. Maybe on the toilet. Maybe we should offer a product, a shadow journal on the Shadowland forum.
I've seen plenty of books for the bathroom, so I don't see why not.
Oh my God, we have so much work to do.
Well, but
we're doing it.
Take the moments that, take the disturbances that come up in the moment,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They reveal themselves.
Yeah.
You don't have to go digging for them, really.
No. Kind of sitting your ass on the couch doing nothing. Next thing you know, some disturbance comes along and somebody's wronging you somehow.
That's right. And then you find yourself shadow diving.
Yay! Oh, that's not the right way to respond, right?
No, it is, because you find treasure down.
Well, that's the thing, is like, and it's all the stuff beforehand that gets us in a mess. Like all the emotions and buying the illusion that we're being victimized and somebody's disturbing us on purpose or somebody's wronging us on purpose. That whole density, it's like in that space, you can't see how it's going to end up, that you can come to an understanding of the other person that you're having a relationship issue with. Like you can't see from that space of blame and anger and all this stuff how it could be that you could be at peace with it. But the moment that I turn about face, and this is what I do personally, is look to understand that person and where they're coming from, regardless about right and wrong and all of that. I literally make up, if I can't talk to the person in the moment for whatever reason, I literally make up excuses for the person. Like not excuses, but like a story that makes sense, why someone would behave a certain way that I'm judging as bad, or something that's hurting me, or something that's bothering me. And I just make, explanations for it and look at all these different possibilities. And from that, and that's from somebody I don't know well, it's easier actually to do this stuff with people you know well. Because you can understand where they're coming from. It's a lot easier versus somebody who's a stranger on the street making loud noises or something, But even that is easy to understand how that could be, and letting go of the need to have everything just your way is also a big, huge portion of that.
And also you can just ask somebody. Just ask them what's going on. Allow them to tell you their story, So there's the process that you're talking about, which is great, but there's also just the, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, taking the time and coming from a compassionate heart. And, because I know I was addicted to the war. It was very shocking to know that. But actually, Aisha confronted. I was in a relationship with this guy, and we had a lot of warlike, ragging on each other and screaming and carrying on, and it felt horrible, and it was so terrible. I was just devastated, And she looked at me and said, "You're getting off on this. Come on, admit it. You're liking this." And I was so shocked and offended that she would dare to say that to me. But that just nailed it, like, oh my God, she's right. I'm addicted to this. I'm addicted to war. I like fighting. And we're in a war culture. There aren't that many releases for your energy. They've demonized sex. There's not all the groovy, energetic stuff is been made bad and wrong in this super repressed society. But war is big business, baby. War is okay. War is fun. And you get programmed into doing, you're going to have to do something with your energy, and we get addicted to the war games. And a new dimension of peace, into a world of harmony, into a place where love is available, we need to recognize how we are actually getting off on this stuff and going, you know what, maybe I need to rethink this. Maybe I need to find that creative artist in me, that deep purpose that is juicy and alive in me, or the parts of me that have been buried, and find another way to express my energy in a dynamic way. I don't know how else we're going to reconfigure this, because a lot of us are addicted to fighting and blaming, and it's a release of energy.
And the victims are addicted to suffering, and on and on.
Oh, I've been on all of those.
Mm-hmm.
All of those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still slip into it, but it's so much less now, and it's so quick. It's like I recognize it now. It's like, oh, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah, and when we start seeing these things, we really need that self-love piece, because these programs are thick. I mean, I'm come from a Jewish background. Oy, 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 it's so horrible. You can't believe how we've suffered. You have no idea. You know, and underneath there's all of the perpetrator hiding behind the victim. Don't get me started. But, I mean, this thing is thick. You can see a pattern. But that pattern, this is where we have to love things to death. They keep coming up, and we keep bringing in the love, which is pouring into this portion of the galaxy right now. Thank heavens. So much love to support us in the love. We just can let these things wash free. But it doesn't go away just because you have an epiphany like, oh, I love war, or I'm getting off on my suffering. It's a process. It's a process of reshifting it.
It's a process of understanding what brought you to that space. For me, it was anger. I had I'd have like these little rage attacks, and you could push me so far, and then it's like, whoa, she's she's on fire all of a sudden out of nowhere, and I had to really go in there and find out what I was so flippin' mad about. And once I did, and I still have moments, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is an ongoing process, but when it comes up, it's like I'm not blind to it now. I'm not just letting it rip roar and feel completely justified in, behaving poorly with others, But once I looked and found out what I was so angry about, there's so many things, I started having compassion for myself, and allowing the feeling of anger to be there. Because, these emotions are judged as bad, and we're all experiencing them. But a lot of people won't admit that that's their feeling of things. And, these emotions are indicators of a perception that is off base. There's something not understood. And once those understandings start to come about for yourself, you can start to have understandings for others. And you can also give yourself permission to walk away from situations that are harmful to you, because you can see that they're harmful to you. Whereas before you might be complicit and start getting raging wars against your lover, justifiably so, where, it's just out of control. It's just darkness out of control with nothing tempering, nothing looking, nothing, you know what I'm saying? It gets a little...
Yes. Yeah.
It's acceptable to go through that too, because that's part of the process as well. It doesn't matter where you are on the journey. If you find yourself in one of those places, you look, if you can't do anything else, open your eyes.
That's so huge. Yeah.
That's awesome. If you can't do anything else, open your eyes. Wow.
Be the observer.
Yeah.
Punch somebody in the face, observe it,
that's the thing I've been noticing. I knew it already, but last few weeks, doesn't matter what I'm reading, what technique, what way someone's describing, it could be holographic kinetics, liquid mirror, I was listening to a video that Muji did the other day, and it always boils down to the same thing, which is looking, being the observer, feeling it, and releasing it over and over and over again. That's the boiled down process. However you describe it, however you explain it, however you do it, however you look, you're still looking. However you feel it, you're still feeling. And however you release it, you're still releasing it. That's process. And then there's just, like the one you're talking about, 3-2-1. That's a little more detailed. You get a little more involved. And that's great. I mean, there's however you do it, as long as you're doing it.
Well, it's so beautifully said, Christina. And the thing that is so amazing is that the human being, in his yearning for consciousness and to move to a higher resonance now, could do that because that takes an incredible dedication in the midst of everything you have to do and keep together and all the 3D stuff, as Gene Houston says, the one damn thing after another. That can get pretty intense in this world.
But the thing is, once you do this with once you clear one of these shadow aspects, that one's not ever coming back again. It's done. You did it. You cleared it. It's gone. You may have similar things that pop up, but every time you do it, it's not like you have to keep doing it over and over and over. Yes, you are in a certain sense, but there's a lot of stuff to clear out. But once it's clear, it's gone. And you make more room, more space within your being. You become clearer, more aware, more joyful, more peaceful. So yeah, that's my point there.
It's worth it because you can make heaven and earth right here. You can live a life that is so full of yourself in the best possible way and embody this higher source. What is she called? The unbearable beauty. Kelly List calls it the unbearable beauty.
Yeah.
And it keeps growing and expanding, and life becomes a delicious savoring rather than a nightmare prison planet.
Yeah, she talks about her soul being satiated. It's so true. It's so true. So,
and this is the return of the feminine. Mama wants us to be having a great, gorgeous, juicy, delicious. She didn't make all this beauty and all the fruits and our great sensuality and all of our senses and brought her a fractal of herself and himself to live in us she did it to have the Garden of Eden is here. As we shed the dark cabal from inside, we're entering a dimension of incredible blessings, and it's an inside job. You don't need an college education or a car or a husband or in anything. You don't need anything other than you still embodied here and you're breathing. Maybe you don't even need that. I'm not sure. But it's totally doable. You don't need money. You can do it if you had to do it in a jail cell, you could do it. It's completely there in every moment. And that's the beautiful gift that we are given.
That's beautiful.
Deep breath, deep breath. How are we doing on time, lovely ones?
5.5, well, less than that.
No, it's less than that. We get to go to 50. Gosh, I'm sorry, my brain.
That's okay. You have been hit with that.
I think it's 52 is when our song comes on. So I think we may have about a minute. I'll double check here.
So we could maybe talk about next week. We're going to have Andrew Harvey. And go to sacredactivism.org. Andrew Harvey is an incredible scholar and mystic. He's written 30 books. He's written a book called The Return of the Divine Feminine, The Sun at Midnight. He talks a lot about the Black Madonna, about his process of going through the dark night of the soul. He's one of the most inspirational, wonderful, amazing evolutionary hearts. And he's going to be with us next week. And then we have who's after that? Is it Eve?
Oh shoot. Eve is after that. Let's see. We have Andrew. Oh my gosh, my brain. I'm sorry. I haven't been sick with the flu this week. I'm not running on all four cylinders.
Go to stealingthemoon.com, and we have a calendar in there. Yes, we have Eve. She's around Valentine's Day, and she's written the book called The Dark Side of Cupid, and that is fascinating material.
Oh, no, it is Eve. It's Andrew and then Eve. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can all check that out. Those are going to be some profound discussions about breaking down aspects of the invisible, and he's such an incredible mystic, and he's so articulate. He's a Rumi scholar. So he's just like a walking poetry. You'll just love Andrew. Please go to shadowlandforum.com. We have a wonderful community of people that are doing shadow diving, are exploring this themselves, and are sharing, and there's great respect. There's a lot of trust and truth and transparency. It's just one of the sweetest spaces. And I so love all of you who are on that forum. You are deeply inspiring all of us. We are just amazed at who's showing up to be a part of. We're a small group. We're growing, but we are truly mighty. I have great reverence for the people who are participating in Shadowland Forum right now. And I'm hoping at some point they're going to be on the show with us, but I haven't broached that subject with them yet. Although that's in coming attractions.
That would be wonderful. Well, thanks, everyone. Join us again next week.
It's been a wonderful conversation with you ladies.
Yeah, it has.
Thank you so much. We
Be
love
empowered.
You. Be empowered.
From within.
Yes.
No, you don't got the right. You can never paralyze the woman in me. As much as they can make honey, you could die from a bee. Kind to the sisters, give us a chance. We're gonna have to take it. Word to the wise, we sisters have the secret of how to survive in a world of inequality.